Well, good morning. How are you guys doing? Well, yay, it's a beautiful summer's morning. Just glad someone is here, but everybody didn't go surfing or whatever, right? So that's amazing. And yeah, thank you so much, Andre, Sonika, your team, for allowing us to share this morning and for the partnership. I have 5 minutes extra. I'm so excited. So it's been amazing. It's been wonderful to see what the Lord has done in this area. Jock and Cindy, they run with this. Maurice, she's in the background and a big part of her heart as well. And it's been incredible to see what God has done. Many of the Bambanani families are actually here and this all over the place, but they are here. And I think we started the year with 0 families. And at the moment we're 17 families. And I think about 54 children. So it's incredible. We stand amazed at what the Lord has done, and we're trusting next year. We're trusting for 60 more children, however many families that would take. But it's been amazing to see how the Lord works in this area. And when I share with you this morning, I'm going to share my own journey a little bit because I found that I think one of the things I felt the most resistance on from the church, and I'm just being honest, just sharing where I come from and my own experience, but also my own journey. One of the things I found the most resistance on is actually the area of orphan care in the church, which is very strange. But if I think of myself, it makes 100% sense because I'm the same guy. I always joke, I kind of married into this. It's her fault. So when we got married 16 years ago, when we just started, courting, that would be the right word, she was busy starting an orphanage. And I'm like, whew, this is, okay, here we go, But so I'm like, I don't know if we're ready for this. And then she's like, are we going to do it? I'm like, I don't know, And so it was a journey, right? It wasn't easy. And for me personally, I had to go through it. I just want to say to the men, just take it easy for a minute, right? Because my wife and many others, so that's why we invite the wives on Wednesday afternoons to go and worship at the King's Children's Home, right? But many wives, when they go to a children's home, they see a child and they'll bring them home and they think that's a great idea. The men, we're more like, I'm doing math the whole time. I'm going, okay, this is not a good idea. And I especially think it's a bad idea for those children to spend the night because then all of us are going to like the child. And I don't want that. It's uncomfortable. I like quiet. My children, my youngest is 11. My life has been great. It's been sweet. I can actually sleep in on a Saturday, like a little bit. It's fantastic, right? Everybody in the house can clean themselves, brush their own teeth. They even cook me breakfast sometimes. That is the life I've been waiting for years, right? And then my wife comes home with a baby, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, I know we're supposed to do this, but really is there not, Pierre Andre, let's give them a call, right? Let's just, them and the Mowers, let's just keep giving them children, right? But that's how we feel, right? And it's okay. It's a process. And it's a journey with the Lord. And I agree so much with the families, what they shared this morning. I don't think everybody's called to adopt. I don't think so. But I think we're all called to help. And more than that, I know you guys have been talking about the renewing of the mind, right? So I'm going to jump from that space. I want us to look at Romans 12, verse 1 to 2. I'm sure you guys have gone through this and you're going to go through it again, but let's just kick off there. And again, just listen to my journey in this as well, because you might be the same as me on this topic. Romans 12, verse 1, it says, I beseech ye therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable worship. He says bodies. He didn't say soul. He didn't say mind. He said body, right? Which means it's physically really uncomfortable and painful. Okay, keep that in mind as we carry on. And do not be conformed to this world. That's where we want to be. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. all of us want the transformation of the mind, right? We want the renewal of the mind. Am I right? That's why we're here. That's why we spend time in the Word of God. We want to think like Him. More than that, my personal journey is when I got born again almost 20 years ago, it was, I want to be like Jesus. Do you understand? What else is the goal? Okay? I want to be like Jesus in every area of my life, as much as I can. That is the purpose of my life. In my marriage, with being a parent, I want my children to one day say, Dad was the person that's the most like Jesus that I've ever met. Do you understand? That's my desire. I want my wife to go, man, he's like Jesus. I want you to go, wow, he has so much Christ-like. And you're going to see the flaws as well. Don't get me wrong. We all have those, right? Just get me in a competitive environment, Matt, and you'll see those as well, right? But you understand, I want to be a representation of Jesus. When I walk into a room, I want people to go, oh, I feel something different around this person. I want Christ-likeness. I want my focus to be Christ-like. I want my heart to be like His heart. And to get to that place, it seems like verse 1 is important. Being a living sacrifice. Your body being a living sacrifice. What does it mean? It means it's going to be really, really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. It means you're going to die to stuff, and God's going to put you in the fire so that you can see your own selfishness and all the stuff that is not cool. It's like we all think we're perfect until we get married, right? Yes? It's like, what is the purpose of marriage? It doesn't even make sense. Like men and women, we don't think the same on anything. Right? It is a crazy idea. I don't know what heaven was thinking. It's like, let's put them in one house and they're going to become one. Why? We don't think the same, right? Why? It's so that you and me can die. That was the purpose, right? And then God says, make little humans and raise them, right? And you're like, they are so cute and so much fun when they sleep. But the other times, they cost us money. They're, oh my gosh, I love you, but it's a lot of work, right? Why does He do this stuff? It is a blessing, don't get me wrong, but in it, we learn about ourselves, okay? It's like when you do missions, when you go and live among another tribe, they don't love you, they don't understand you, you don't speak their language, you don't like their food, you don't like their water, you don't like where their toilets are positioned and the way they smell, okay? But God sends you there and He says, why? Because you want to be like me. I want to be like Him. Where did He go? Emptied Himself, came to the earth, to His own people that He made. They rejected Him and He still had to love them. There's something about this renewal of the mind, this process of becoming like Jesus, that is costly. It is costly. For me to look like Jesus in my marriage, my wife's awesome, by the way. But for me to look like Jesus in my marriage is costly. It means I need to let go of a lot of the things I like. For me to look like Jesus in my parenting means I need to let go a lot of things that I like so that they are happy and I spend time with them and they enjoy their life. To look like Jesus in the area of soul winning, healing the sick, the power of God flowing through my life, it's costly. It asks something of me. And it's important that we keep that in mind, this process of being transformed into the transformation of the mind so that we can discern what? What is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. I don't think it's 3 different options. I think it's progression. Good, acceptable, perfect. What does that mean? We go from glory to glory. I believe as we go through this process of renewing of the mind, we actually shift from now I know the good will of God. Now I know the acceptable will of God. Now I'm stepping into the perfect will of God. It's becoming like Him in every area. And that's what I want. These things matter to Him. Again, I'm on my own journey, right? Isaiah 63 verse 9, so powerful. I want you to hear, forget about organization, forget about orphan care for a minute. I'll remind you soon again, don't worry. But for a minute, I want you to hear the heart of God. Isaiah 63 verse 9. It says, just the first line, in all their affliction, He was afflicted. Can we just pause there? In all their affliction, He was afflicted. Do you understand how personal our suffering pain is to God. It's really, it's close to his heart. What you go through matters to him. What the lost goes through matters to God. In our affliction, he was afflicted. One of the places where you see it, one of the strongest statements ever is Acts chapter 9 to me, where Saul is on his donkey on the road to Damascus. Jesus rocks up, falls off of his donkey. Remember the question Jesus asked him? Okay, remember who Saul is? He's the persecutor of the church. He has letters in his hand to imprison Christians, you and me, right? Imprison them, kill them, torture them. That was Saul's agenda. He thought he was serving God. And then Jesus knocks him off of his donkey. Jesus shows up and he goes, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Not the church, not that guy, me. That's how personal it is to Jesus. That's why the transformation of the mind matters, because whatever he cares about, we should care about. If I want to be a reflection of Jesus, I want to be like my Father, friends. Are you with me? I don't know where you are, but I want to be like my Father. I want to be like Dad. I want to show the world what he looks like, not only in speech, but in action. A very good friend of ours, massive ministry, they have this statement, love looks like something. Love looks like something. What does it look like? I can tell you what it looked like in winning souls. I can tell you what it looked like in healing the sick, but I didn't want to know what it looks like in the area of orphan care because that felt very uncomfortable to me. It didn't come natural, but it matters to God. Listen to these verses. I want to read another one. Matthew 25, verse 40. We all know the verse, right? Jesus speaking, and I don't like this. Can I just say something? I don't like these verses. I would have liked them not being there. Okay, there's a couple of verses in the Bible I would have preferred if we don't have to talk about them. Often I'm like, are you guys sure? Are you sure you got it right? The translators of the Bible, right? But it seems like it's not going away, and we have a lot of translations, right? So the point is, it's here to stay. So let's deal with it. I guess that's all we can do. Matthew 25, verse 40, Jesus going, and the king will answer and say to them, assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Man, annoying verse, right? Because the least of these I have found that they're often not the ones that I wanted to be. Because with you guys, I feel we've got a lot in common. We can relate. I'm sure most of you like meat and braai and biltong. And, there's a lot going here for us. We can have cappuccinos and it's fun. We can even play a game of paddle. We can get along on a lot of things. But the least of these, they're a problem, right? Because they're not like us. Well, like me. Especially when they're on drugs or they're high or they just don't like you because you're preaching the gospel. They don't even enjoy when you heal them sometimes. They're like, we don't like your Jesus in any way. Just get out of the way. The least of these don't smell like us often, and they don't talk like us often. They don't like the same food that I like. I've had to eat horrible food because of the least of these. I blame them 100%. It's their fault, right? It's their fault. But Jesus goes, listen, whatever you do unto them, you've done unto me. So suddenly, the horrible food has a different flavor to it. It's starting to taste a little bit like kingdom. It's starting to feel a little bit like an offering that I bring to God. A sacrifice. It's worship that I give to the Lord. And suddenly there's joy in the cup of suffering because I feel the pleasure of my Father because it's His heart. When I got born again, I have a friend, he says I'm a high-functioning introvert, which is probably a good assumption, right? Because I like people, I love people, and I've grown so much in my capacity for people because of ministry and my wife, again, you see? But also, I can go a long time without people, and I'll miss you, but from a distance. It's like, I'll be all right, I'm okay, you know what I mean? But I love you. It's not like I have anything against you. It's just I'm fine on my own. Also, what that means is I'm not Mr., like I have friends. I spend a lot of time on airplanes, right? So if you I think Matt might be one of them. So if you put that guy in an airplane At the end of the flight, he has 5 new friends. He led 10 people to Jesus, and he has invitations to 10 new countries, right? Because that's just who he is. It's just like, business cards, here we go. They actually started a new business as well in the 2 hours they had together. Me, I'm the guy on the airplane. I'm going to smile at you, but my smile is actually saying something. It's saying, like, I could talk to you, but probably it's better for both of us if we don't have a conversation right now, okay? It's not that I don't like you. I'm sure you're a great person, but I have things to do in here right now. I'm busy, right? I know it doesn't look like it. That's me. Like, it's not natural. Do you understand? So my point was, when I thought of evangelist, I was always like, well, luckily that's not me, because I'm obviously not that guy. But who thinks that the least of these include the lost? So one day I'm like, okay, Jesus, I have a problem here. My personality doesn't want to do this, but this is your heart. And I want to be like you. So help. And I'm not going to get into the details. So God gave me an encounter that literally transformed my life forever. That was about 15, 16 years ago. Changed my life forever. I still don't think I'm an evangelist, but I love winning souls. It's one of the things we do. We win souls. Why? Because the least of these matters. The Great Commission matters. So I need to get with the program. My personality type is not an excuse to become a living sacrifice. My comfort zone is not an excuse for me to become like Him. I want to be like Him. And for that, I need to change. Healing the sick, raising the dead. It's glorious until it's your people dying. And now you're the one that's being phoned, and you're the last one there. You know how many people I've seen die in my life? And I'm not a doctor. I don't like that stuff. But because it's the least of these, because I want to be like Him, it forces me into places that I don't want to be. But I'm being transformed. I'm being renewed of mind, and suddenly it becomes a sacrifice unto the Lord. It matters to God. You know, there's scriptures just, because again, like I said, I tried to get away from the stuff, but Exodus 22, verse 22 to 24, I want you to see God's heart. And just look at the guy next to you, say, thank you, we're in the new covenant. Just say that quickly before I read this verse, because this is rough, right? But hear the heart of I want you to hear the Father's heart. It's all this is about this morning. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm asking you to say what I did with souls. Give me your heart. Just give me your heart, Jesus. He says, you shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If you afflict them in any way, and they cry at all to me, I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath shall become hot, and I will kill you with the sword. And your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. I have a feeling that it sounds like He cares about this. Are you with me? That's rough. That's insane. Why? Because if He doesn't fight for them, who is? If He's not going to stand up for them, who will stand up for them? And God is going, body of Christ, church, this is supposed to be us. We're supposed to be the one that's like our Father and stand in the gap and say, this is insane. I don't have time to tell all the stories, but I know some of these kids' stories. That's the best and the worst thing that you can do. If you don't want to become like the Father, don't get to know them. That's great. If you want to become like the Father, get to know them. See a face and a name. It changes things. It changes things. I know these kids' names. I know their stories. Kids that show up. How old was he? Sia, 2? 1. 1-year-old child shows up at King's Children's Home. Skull is broken, cut open because of septicemia, because of the abuse. His brother saw his dad shoot someone in front of him. You understand? I have story. This is horrible. And then we have a God that says, boy, if you touch them, I'm coming for you and your offspring. And that's not for us. That's for, do you understand? But I want to be like my Father. My Father is fiercely interested in this because who else is going to do this? Who's going to stand for them? Who's going to stand for those children? Who's going to fight? Just as we fight for the Muslims that's never heard the gospel, we should fight for this. It's not the one or the other. I just want to say that. It's like I told Cindy and Maurice, I told my team, I said, listen, you guys, you were born with wanting to do this. This is like something on your life. I get it. Me, I'm the other guy, right? I need a little bit of help here. So you're not going to win me through condemnation. That's never going to work. And I want to say to the church, I think if you're like me, we felt a lot of condemnation on this topic in the past. And people come in. And I just want to say in defense of the social workers and those people, they are always overwhelmed. I'm not kidding. I'm just being real. They are always overwhelmed. It never stops. You are dealing with drama and trauma like most of us have not seen in our lives. There's never enough resources. There's never enough help. So sometimes when they get the chance to speak, they're a little bit excited. Okay? So let's give them grace and bless them. But I also want to say to us, there's no condemnation in this thing. Don't feel guilty about anything. I want to give you the heart of God. If Jesus goes up, the minute he goes up to heaven and he says the Great Commission, right? How many of you think the Great Commission matters? Everybody's hand should be up right now, please. Okay, all right. It really matters. How many of you think the first commandment matters? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your... Yes, 100%. How many of you think that going to the least of these is important? Yes. How many of you believe the least of these include widows and orphans? Yes, and addicts, and the lost, and the poor. Remember, to the evangelist, the most important thing is winning souls. To the apostle, the most important thing is planting churches and changing culture. To the prophet, the only thing that matters is, did you have a dream or a vision this morning? And if not, what is wrong with you, right? To the person anointed for this, the only thing that matters is orphans. How many orphans is in your home? That's not enough. You should have more, right? What is wrong with you? Relax. All of it is important. All of it. And I want to be involved in as much of the things that matters to God as I humanly can. It's interesting, when we started, we didn't have, I mean, we're just starting in ministry. We're living on sponsors. And we're like, well, I think what's important is with money, and we didn't have a lot, so literally was like 50 Rand sometimes. But I believe in giving, because giving is sowing into a seed, and I'm expecting a harvest in that area. So if I can't do this, I'm going to sow into this right now. So I believed in giving to local church, because that's what you should do. I really believe God cares about missions, because the Great Commission, so I'm going to give into missions. And I really believe God cares about orphans, so I'm going to give to orphans. And we did that for years. It's very interesting. One of the ministries, I don't even know if you remember this, but one of the ministries we really gave to a lot, we are ministering in, and they've opened up the nations for us the last 3 years. Interesting. We didn't know them back then. But I believe my money, my seed should do something in those areas, because that's where God's heart is at. Local church, I believe it. I believe there's a heart for missions, and I believe there's a heart for orphan care. I want to cover all my bases. Why? Because I'm blessed. I'm blessed in the end. And that's who we're supposed to be. There's another verse, and I want to say this again, we have to allow the mess of a broken world in our own home sometimes. Can I tell you why? For the sake of that person, yes, but there's something bigger. It's for me and for you. If I should ask you, why do you think God punished Sodom and Gomorrah? I think everybody in the room will say because of homosexuality, LGBTQ, the perversion, all of that stuff. Agreed? I think that would be the thing. Ezekiel actually says something else. He shows us the root of the issue. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 48 to 49. Listen to what it says. The Lord says, "As I live, says the Lord, Sodom your sister has not done, she nor her daughters, as you have done, you and your daughters," which is not great news for Israel right there. Verse 49, "Behold," okay, listen to this, "this was the guilt of your sister Sodom." Okay, so this is interesting. God's actually going to tell us why was he so upset with them. obviously we get it. It was horrible. But what was the story? He says, she and her daughters had pride, fullness of food, and abundance of idleness. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. And if I think South Africa, we're in a different space still, but we can live in our bubble easily. But some of the nations I minister in, first world nations, when I go there, I'm like, I can see this 100%. Pride, don't need anything, don't need anyone, we're okay. Idleness, and I'm not talking, they work so hard, but they're idle in the terms of the kingdom. They're idle in terms of the things that's on God's heart. And they're not touching the poor and needy. I want to tell you something, taking in kids in my home, over the years, it was for me. Yes, it's for them, of course. But I'm the one that changed. I'm the one that saw the ugliness of my own heart. I'm the one that started seeing, oh my gosh, I really think I love well, but I don't. I got changed because of these kids that God brought into our homes. It transformed our lives. It transformed my life. And it's still not easy. I still struggle. I'm 45. I'm still struggling with it. Like I said, my life was going really well. I have a 2-year-old in my house again. I'm like, okay. Late nights, early mornings, here we go. But the joy that that little thing has brought into our home is insane. My kids love her. My wife love her. It's absolutely awesome. Choosing that little girl, or God asking us to choose that little girl, has changed the course of my career. Like, I've had to postpone things over and over again because of this little life. It's costly. But the alternative is, I know where she would have grown up. And now I see this beautiful, perfect little human being, and I'm like, if God can use me to make a difference in her life, it's a blessing, friends. They say there's 3 million orphans in South Africa. That's 5% of our population. Are you listening to that? Imagine all of them end up in Christian homes and they get discipled. And 10 years, 20 years down the line, we have these soldiers for God that was raised in the ways of the Lord. That's standing 3 million. If you do a crusade and 3 million come to Christ, boy, you're the news of the day. But how many of them get discipled? This is costly, though. I think about it in my own journey. I'm like, because that's why orphan care is so hard. That's why this thing is so hard, because it touches in a place where nothing else touches. Nothing comes into your home like this. And it's scary. I get it. I'm with you. But I want to be like my Father. I want to be like my Father. Whatever it is that you can do, if you're praying, listen, she's not over-exaggerating. She's underplaying the level of spiritual warfare in this arena. It's insane. I haven't seen, honestly, I go to dark places. This is dark. It's dark. It's like you cannot believe the stuff that goes on around these children's lives. And so we need prayer. Please, if you don't want it, if you can't take it, if God is not asking you to take a child, don't do it. It's going to mess you up. Don't, right? But if He's asking you, say yes. If you can pray, pray. If you can help. If you want to open your home for 3 months to help a little baby, do that. If you want to foster. If you want to adopt. If you don't want to do it, encourage those that do want to do it. But be a champion for these kids in whatever way God asks of you. And don't be afraid. We have so many excuses. Money. Listen, we have a family that took in 3 children, the ones I spoke about earlier. They took all 3 of them in a month ago. The wife is a domestic worker. The dad does piece jobs. And they have 3 of their own kids. They have 6 children. They don't have a car. And they said yes. I didn't know the little girl that's part of that sibling group could speak. I didn't know that. I saw her a week ago after they've been with this family for a month. She runs to me like, speaking, hugging me. I'm like, I thought you couldn't speak. It's a miracle. And I just look at Nkosinati and Faith, and all you see is love looked like something. And these 3 lives are changed forever. They have a mom and a dad. It's township. But those kids they don't want to come to our house. Yesterday, I see them. They are so happy when I leave because they're afraid if I'm going to take them back to the children's home. They're just so happy. Money is not an excuse, friends. Some of us, maybe you're like me, we're like, well, my children are so special. And, they are. And what if that child comes in and he's not a performer like them or whatever? I just want to say something real quick just to help you out. So the Father has the only begotten Son called Jesus Christ, right? All of us look like special need kids compared to Jesus, okay? So just let that one go, right? That's just easy. Don't let that put pressure on you. We all need a little bit of help, right? And Jesus he's got your back, okay? So let's not care about that at all, right? Don't have excuses. I want to say yes if God asks you to say yes. Help if God asks you to say help, to help. Whatever it is that God places on you in this area, touch it. Why? Because we want to be like Him. I want to be like Him. The other day, I'm thinking about this, my own process. I'm like, why are we doing this? I'm like, I think it is because I want to carry His heart and I want to be a message for Him. How many of you believe in the prophetic? How many of you believe our life must prophesy? So let's prophesy. Let's say, Lord, change my heart so that my life, my family will be a testimony of what it looks like to be a living sacrifice, to care for what you care about, the orphan, the neglected, the fatherless. Some people adopt because they struggle to get their own children. Bless you in Jesus' name. Do it. Some people adopt because they have a hole and they want another one. I wouldn't recommend that. Some people adopt because they just feel God's heart. That's the way to do it. Think about it. I know some of these moms of these kids, and I know where their life was going if they stayed. And now you see a child. I mean, look at some of these kids. Listen, we have single moms taking in children in the family. Single moms that's doing it. 2 single moms. It's just said, we're going to do it. And these lives are forever changed. These kids were malnourished. I mean, where would they have ended? And somebody said, okay, I'm going to do it. Again, maybe it's not for you to open your home in that way, but I want the body of Christ to reflect the Father. So how are we going to do that? So this morning when I pray, I'm not asking you to say yes, although if you want to say yes, that'll be absolutely awesome. Go speak to Cindy or Andre or click the link or whatever. Please say yes. Maybe you know of other people and help them to say yes. That's also a great thing. I don't care. Maybe you're the evangelist for orphan care. Do it, right? Doesn't matter. Or maybe you're just saying, you know what, I can actually wash like Pierre Andre's car because he's got 9 kids. I don't know how he gets time for anything, but I can do that for him. Okay, go and do that. I'm not even kidding. I'm being real. Help. Pray. Sow into this as you would into souls, into missions. Because there's a blessing for us in it. We want to be like Him.